Hello and welcome to Senior's Daily Life. We're always told that nuts are basically nature's perfect snack, right? But what if I told you that some of those healthy nuts might actually be doing more harm than good, especially once you're over 60? Okay, let's dive into what our source material has to say about this.
So, the source material we're digging into today, well, it makes a pretty shocking claim. It argues that the real data on which nuts are truly beneficial for seniors is often buried in scientific journals. And it says some common nuts aren't just unhelpful, they could be actively working against you.
And just to give you an idea of how serious this is, the source kicks things off with a real bombshell statistic. It claims that one very popular nut, one you see marketed as healthy all the time, could raise your risk of stroke by a staggering 39%. That really sets the stage for why it's so important to know which nuts to choose.
All right, so first up, let's get right into the nuts that our source puts on what it calls the danger list. These are the 4 it says you should think about removing from your pantry right away. Kicking off our danger list at number 4, macadamia nuts. You know them, you love them for that creamy, buttery taste. But according to our source, they could pose a unique challenge to an aging cardiovascular system.
So what's the deal? Well, the source claims their super high-fat content can just overwhelm an older liver, and the high phosphorus levels, they really strain the kidneys. And they tell a story about a guy named Robert, 67 years old, whose triglyceride levels supposedly plummeted from a scary 312 all the way down to 148, and this was just 8 weeks after he stopped eating macadamia nuts. Wow.
Okay, so what do you eat instead? Well, the source suggests swapping them out for almonds. The idea here is that almonds have those heart-healthy monounsaturated fats that are way easier for our bodies to handle as we get older.
All right, coming in at number 3 on the danger list, Brazil nuts. Now this one is really surprising because you always hear how great they are for selenium, but according to our source, that's exactly the problem.
You see, the argument is that as we age, our kidneys just don't filter things out like they used to, making selenium toxicity a real and present danger. And they share this story about Margaret, a 71-year-old who started losing her hair and getting tremors. Turns out, her selenium levels were 5 times the normal range, all traced back to her daily Brazil nut habit. That's pretty scary.
So if you want that selenium boost without the risk, the source points to sunflower seeds. A quarter cup gives you a nice, healthy dose, but it won't send you anywhere near that toxicity danger zone.
Okay, get ready for a controversial one. At number 2, we have peanuts. And yeah, the source is quick to remind us they're technically legumes, not nuts. But the bigger point it makes is that they come with a few hidden dangers, especially for older adults.
The source really hones in on 3 big problems here. First, something called aflatoxin, which is a nasty toxin our livers have a hard time clearing as we get older. Second, an imbalance of omega-6s that can just fuel inflammation. And third, they can be really tough to digest. The story they use to illustrate this is about a woman named Patricia, 70, who was dealing with brain fog and arthritis, and it was all apparently linked to the aflatoxin in her daily peanut butter on toast.
So what's the alternative? Well, if you love that creamy texture, the source says to try almond butter. And if you're looking for a protein-packed snack, it suggests pumpkin seeds. Same benefits, none of the claimed risks.
And here we are, the number 1 nut to avoid, according to our source material, is the cashew. And boy, does the source have a lot to say about this one. It argues that this super popular nut is basically a triple threat to senior health.
So what are the 3 big problems? First, they're high in oxalates, which can lead to kidney stones. Second, they have trace amounts of urushiol. That's the same stuff that's in poison ivy. And third, something called phytic acid, which can actually block your body from absorbing crucial minerals. The source connects all this to a woman named Dorothy, whose terrible joint pain and kidney stones supposedly just vanished when she cut cashews out of her diet.
Okay, enough of the bad news. We've gone through the danger list, so now let's flip the script and talk about the solutions. This is the power list. The 4 nuts the source claims you absolutely should be eating every single day.
Kicking off the power list, we have pecans. The source basically calls these little guys nutritional gold mines, saying they're specifically geared to fight back against those common age-related health problems.
So what makes them so special? Well, for starters, the source claims they have the highest antioxidant level of any tree nut.
That is huge for fighting off the stress on our bodies. They also cite a study linking them to 43% less cognitive decline. And get this, they tell a story about Harold, a 69-year-old, whose A1C levels, a key diabetes marker, reportedly dropped from 8.2% all the way down to 6.8% just from eating an ounce of pecans a day.
All right, cruising into the number 3 spot on our power list, pistachios. These little green gems are highlighted for some really unique benefits, especially for our eyes and our hearts.
According to the source, pistachios are absolutely packed with lutein and zeaxanthin. Those are two incredible antioxidants that act like internal sunglasses for your eyes. They also point to a study that claims they can actually reverse stiffness in your arteries. And the story they share is about Sarah, 74, whose macular degeneration, a serious eye condition, supposedly stopped getting worse right after she added pistachios to her diet. Amazing.
Hey, remember almonds? We talked about them as a good swap earlier. Well, they're back, landing at number 2 on the power list. The source really positions these as a true age-reversing nut that goes after aging from a bunch of different angles. The source gets really specific here. It talks about a unique form of vitamin E in almonds that protects our brain cells, and it highlights their high magnesium content, which is so important for good sleep and muscle function. There's even a Stanford study cited that connects them to a whopping 45% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. And here's a pro tip from the source. Soak them overnight. It supposedly makes the nutrients up to 50% easier for your body to absorb.
Okay, drum roll please. The number 1, top of the list, must-eat nut, according to our source, is the walnut. It's praised as the ultimate anti-aging powerhouse, and it's all about one thing: protecting your brain.
And this slide really says it all. This chart is based on a 9-year study the source references, and the results are just wow. It found that people who ate walnuts at least 5 times a week had a 68% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's. 68%. The reason? Walnuts are apparently the only nut with a big dose of those plant-based omega-3s, also known as ALA.
And to really bring this home, the source shares the powerful story of Eleanor. She's 78, and her early-stage dementia symptoms reportedly reversed after just 6 months of eating walnuts every day. They claim her cognitive scores shot up by 34%, and she got her independence back. She apparently credits walnuts with saving her mind.
Okay, wow, that was a lot of information, right? The danger list, the power list. So what does it all boil down to? What's the simple takeaway? Well, the source material makes it really easy with a clear, actionable plan.
It's a really straightforward 2-step process. Step 1, take out the danger 4. Get the macadamias, Brazil nuts, peanuts, and cashews out of your pantry. Step 2, bring in the power 4. Start incorporating pecans, pistachios, almonds, and walnuts into your daily routine. This simple switch-out strategy is what the source presents as the absolute key to unlocking all those amazing health benefits. So, when you look at it that way, the source we've dug into today is really suggesting that a simple choice you make in your pantry could have a massive impact on your health. Now, of course, it's always smart to chat with your doctor before making any big changes to your diet, but the question this research leaves us with is, your pantry holds a choice. Which one will you make today? Thanks so much for joining us.